Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Mirror TV high school football season, week number 5. My name is Scott Franco. I'm in for not the vacationing Neil Rudell, but the holiday celebrating Neil Rudell. Neil's off this week. Mike Boytim's back with us off of a vacation to Alaska. And we're going to talk about a bunch of games in the area here, try to get quick points on each game here that we can. The first one we're going to start with is one of our bigger games. It's Tyrone versus Bellefonte. But Bellefonte doesn't have a home field this year. They're playing all their games at Bald Eagle area, but Bellefonte's really good this year. Tyrone's really good this year. Mike, what do you expect to see in this game?
Well, both teams, if the playoffs started today, both teams would be the top seed in their respective classifications. Bellefonte in 4A, Tyrone in 3A. But like you said, Bellefonte's been kind of a nomad this year. They played some home games at Lock Haven. Now they're at Bald Eagle. And I talked to their coach, and he's like, you know what? We just are used to it now. We get on the bus and we go to wherever we're playing and we do the best we can. They won the district championship last year, Bellefonte did, and they hammered Tyrone. And that's something that Jason Wilson of Tyrone said that is still fresh in the Golden Eagles' mind, and they're going to have it in their minds this Friday when they try to get some redemption against the Red Raiders.
And Tyrone's coming off that game in Phillipsburg where they were actually trailing. I didn't know if you'd caught up with that. Phillipsburg was beating Tyrone at one point in the first half. I think it was like 13-6. And maybe Phillipsburg's a better football team than they've been in the past. But Tyrone then woke up, and I think they pretty much pounced them. But do you think any chance Tyrone was looking at Phillipsburg kind of the way a lot of people were looking at Phillipsburg?
Well, Jason told me that he felt like that was going to help them because what he said after that game, that he felt like Tyrone had lost that game because they were so upset with how they played in the first half, and that he felt like that's going to be the motivation they have to know that, hey, we're 4-0, but we still have things we got to work on, and they're going to need it this week against Bellefonte. This is going to be a really good Mountain League game.
Okay, our next game we're going to look at is Altoona hits the road after, I believe, 4 straight home games, which makes me think next year they're going to hate that when they open the season with 4 straight road games. But for now, 4 of their last 6 games now are going to be on the road, and now they're going to, I got to check my cheat sheet down here, they're going to Central Dauphin East, which is right down in Harrisburg. It's on the way to Hershey. Central Dauphin East, 1-3, but Altoona's going to take to the road. What do you expect in that matchup?
Well, Altoona's had a tough week. They lost to Chambersburg, and they had to deal with some really scary injuries, especially to Matt Stradiff. They visited him this weekend. Apparently, he's doing much better.
And we are going to have a story in the paper.
There's going to be a story in Thursday's paper about his recovery. But, this is a tough test for them. 4 of their last 6 games will be obviously on the road, mid-pen opponents, and this is going to be the big test on whether Altoona has improved, and, they've shown a good passing game. They've shown offensive firepower. We're going to get to see if they can keep that up against some good competition.
And then our next 3 games we'd like to talk about real quick are some of the undefeated teams in our area. Chestnut Ridge at Cambria Heights, Chestnut Ridge undefeated. Northern Bedford's at Marion Center. Northern Bedford went up in, I guess,
Northern Cambria.
Northern Cambria, I apologize. Northern Cambria, they smoked, I believe, West Shamokin last week.
No, they beat West Shamokin, and then they smoked Purchase Line.
Yeah, they've really, and then Williamsburg at Tussey Mountain, which we were joking around here that we actually are getting ready to put a Tussey Mountain story in the paper. They're undefeated under their new coach, who's got that great Italian name, which right now I can't think of.
Sarasante.
Anthony Sarasante. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. Mike had to tell me. But, Mike, what are you looking at with those 3 games?
Well, Chestnut Ridge, they're back in Laurel Highlands, and they've really been making a splash. Northern Cambria, they already have 1,400 rush yards through 4 games.
And that's like 3 different guys, isn't it? Or is it 2 guys?
There's 2 guys that have over 450, and then Marino, the quarterback, as you would probably remember.
But not Dan, everybody. It would have been nice. But
he's got over 200 yards rushing as well. But Tussey Mountain, they've won 4 games already this year. They have only won 2 in the previous 3 seasons combined. So great job, great turnaround there.
And then our other game we were going to talk about is Bishop Guilfoyle hosting a Johnstown team that's 0-4, and I can't remember the last time a Johnstown team was 0-4. The Marauders are 3-1. They seem to have bounced back nicely the last couple of weeks after getting beaten up by Westmont Hilltop locally. What are you looking for in that game?
You know, Coach Wheeler talked about how BG's been fighting some injuries, but nobody I can think of in the region has dealt with more injuries this year than Johnstown. Biggest being their quarterback, Sammy Barber, that got hurt in the first game against Central Cambria. Just for an idea of how much their offense has struggled, he threw for 159 yards in that first game in not even an entire game.
The first half against Central Cambria, and then he got hurt.
And he's still the leading passer after 4 games. So they just haven't been able to get an offense going. And
did they score last week? Because I know they didn't score against Ridge. They didn't score much against Penn Cambria.
Yeah, they've really struggled, and it's going to be, but as Coach Wheeler said, they have athletes. They're going to be on the turf of Mansion Park. So he said that they're always a scary team, but I look for BG to continue their turnaround and move to 4-1 after this week.
Well, that's it for our Week 5. Our Week 5 forecast, look at without any predictions. We didn't have a director today giving us signals like we used to in the past. But for Mike Boytim, I'm in for the, not the vacationing, but the celebrating Neil Rudell, who we don't know if Neil will be back next week. Depends on how well people like Mike and I together on this one. But for Mirror TV, I'm Scott Franco. Thanks for checking us out.